Hello, everyone. Dr. Constance here with another episode of Munch and Learn with Dr. Constance, where I give you short yet impactful health education sessions perfect to enjoy over your lunch period. And in Munch and Learn fashion, I always start with sharing what's on my plate for the day. And I'm excited to share this particular meal item because it takes a classic that many of us love and make it a little more health forward and inclusive for who might have restrictive diets for whatever reason. And so what it is that I had, and I have my nice hefty containers that got from Sam's Club, and they come in a big pack. Certainly use whatever containers you enjoy, but these work perfect, good size. But this is not only, I would say, keto friendly, but could be easily modified for a vegan or vegetarian, pescatarian approach to dieting, because I made an alfredo sauce without using any dairy at all. And so let me show you just how yummy this looks. And my pasta dish, and in this case, it's not actually pasta, to explain more for those who are listening instead of watching, the base is zucchini noodles. So you see it's spiralized zucchini. There is grilled chicken because I am not vegetarian or vegan. And I have roasted vegetables, but the Alfredo sauce, and you'll see that there is nice and creamy, delicious with depth of flavor, was made with cashews. And so how this particular sauce is made is that the breakdown that I use is 2 cups of cashews. You can use raw or roasted. I will say if you're going to use roasted, it will take a little more effort to blend it down. The science behind that, I'm not sure, but that's just something that I've noticed. But you take the cashews, preferably raw, 2 cups of that with 3.5 cups of water. Season your water to your liking. In particular, a little salt. I actually added some garlic powder as well for flavor. And you boil that until the cashews get soft. Once they're soft, you add the cashews to your bullet. That's what I use, or food processor, other blender of choice. And I use the water from the cooking. Certainly, you can use distilled water, spring water, or tap water, whatever your preference is, and use that to blend it until it's smooth. For my sauce, because I did want to get that flavor profile similar to an Alfredo, I also roasted some cloves of garlic while I roasted my vegetables, and I added that into the bullet when the sauce was blending, and you get this nice garlicky sauce. Cashews are mild enough that you don't get a super nutty flavor once you blend it and add it to other things. And so that's why it works pretty well. But I can imagine this working with other softer nuts that are available. I would say maybe walnuts, although walnuts are also used as a meat substitute as well. But this is a cool idea to try. And the first time I did it, actually, my fiance was practically licking the bowl after he ate. And so that's when I knew, okay, I hit the bullseye on this one. And it's cool because you can also make it in batches and store it in the refrigerator. To be continued as far as the shelf life on that. But I do plan to use that as a little bit of a sauce for a sheet pan dinner that I'm going to cook tonight. And so this is a way to kind of mix things up, but still get some of the flavors that you enjoy, but make it a little bit more health forward. decrease inflammation for those of us who might have challenges with dairy. I'm lactose intolerant, so I don't do a lot of milk in particular. Cheeses don't bother me as much, but the sauce eliminates dairy, and then the zucchini noodles eliminate gluten and decreases carbs altogether, hence making it a more keto friendly meal. And then when you roast vegetables, it creates this flavor that is like no other flavor. The vegetables get caramelized, and so it just adds depth without a lot of effort. And then if you're feeling fancy, you can drizzle a little balsamic vinegar on that, so you get a little bit extra sweetness with roasting the vegetables without a lot of added calories from different sauces. And then you put it all together for an amazing meal that makes you feel like you went out to dinner and switched it up a bit instead of the same old vegetable protein, carbohydrate, or vegetable protein that we often use when we're meal prepping. Uh, I do plan to share a post on my social media platforms that shows exactly the process that I use to make an amazing shrimp Alfredo using this same technique. So if you don't follow me on Facebook and Instagram, you should be, and you'll be able to see some of the food content, because outside of helping other people be as healthy as they can, I'm in this journey with everyone, and I just so happen to love to cook. So it's a good opportunity for me to kind of combine my love for being healthy as well as cooking, and show people that you can do it too. It doesn't have to be complex to be good, and you don't have to stress yourself out to be healthy. So please do follow me. When you see a post, like it, share it with everyone you know. And if you tuned in last week, you would know that I am doing a little bit of a series. Last week, or excuse me, last month, the podcast topic was getting to know me. And I spent a little time sharing a little bit about my background and education history. And today I want to share more about why I decided to get into health education and health coaching by way of my business, Beyond Clinic Walls Wellness. And it's sort of interesting because all of this started with the pandemic, in fact, because I'm also in the Navy Reserve, and I had to deploy to Guam just after helping my own mother recover from COVID-19, patching her up, getting her back on the road from being with me in North Carolina to going to where she lives in Maryland. And while I was away, I just felt this longing to not only be home, but almost guilt in regards to being away from my patient panel in the private practice that I work in. And once I got back, I realized that there were some people who legitimately thought I had just left the practice and didn't work there anymore. And that sort of broke my heart. I didn't have anything to do with the conversations regarding where I was. It wasn't a secret that I was in the Navy Reserve. It was actually featured not only with the hospital system where I live, but also in the local newspapers, because of course it, was sort of a big deal to go and help in an effort like that. And initially, it started with me just wanting to have a professional forward social media page that patients would be able to follow me, get some positive motivation for everyday life, kind of keep up with me in a surface level, of course, without going too deep in regards to that, especially with the patient provider relationship. Don't want to overstep too much. But then also I just felt that it was sad to see so many people so anxious about their health and not always feeling that they had someone who they could reach out to and have real conversations about what to do. Um, and of course, at that particular time, a lot of that was related to vaccination and wearing masks and protecting yourself from COVID-19. But as time went along, I realized that there were plenty other topics that people could use some motivation and insight. And so the site went from being a social media page, Dr. Foreman Cares, to me deciding that I wanted to set the foundation to build something that could potentially become my retirement plan. Certainly, we have a vision for what we see ourselves doing as a professional at any given point. And I absolutely love being a doctor, but I realized that the short time that I have with patients is not nearly enough to impart the knowledge, wisdom, and motivation that an individual might need in that moment to be their best self. However, when there's a focus on education and coaching, over time, you develop that rapport even stronger than the traditional doctor-patient relationship. And not only does that patient have the respect and uh, trust from the provider, over time they develop the skills to help take care of themselves. Health coaching and health education, excuse me, gives people the opportunity to sit back and make decisions for themselves instead of what traditional medicine has been. It's been very directive. Those people who might come to me as a patient could probably attest that I'm not the type of doctor who is going to sit across from you in the exam room and say, you need to do this or this, or try to use scare tactics to convince them to do what I think is best. I actually consider my role as a physician almost like the coach of a team, and each patient that comes into the office is a star player. Just like any client that I work with health education and health coaching, that client is the star player. And what does that mean? When you're working in a coach and player mentality, you recognize that the team does not win if everyone does not work together. Okay, so that means that the coach has a role and the player has a completely different role. However, with their powers combined, bring me back to my younger days of Power Rangers, and not Power Rangers and Captain Planet. With the powers of the coach and the player together, they can literally make history, right? We have some of that going on right now with Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, leaving Jackson State and going to Colorado. And there have been people who have doubted his abilities. And it's funny because, he did well, 3-game streak with a team that was literally 1-11. I think last year, and already has won 3 games in this current season, but that's not enough because they got their butts kicked this most recent game. So it shows that now the coach has to pivot to then continue to see the progress, and we're always growing together, right? You can have amazing players and not have good coaching and not be successful, or have an amazing coach and players who are not quite ready to deliver and not be as successful. And there could be multiple factors in between that can contribute to the success of a team. However, when everyone is working together, adjusting together, making decisions together, learning and growing together, then you can create the foundation for a team that can be successful for years to come. And ideally, in the health education and health coaching realm, a client is able to learn the skills necessary to be more intuitive, make interventions to achieve a particular goal, and then set an outline for how they're going to be successful long term. The coach isn't mapping that out for them as far as first you got to do this, next you got to do that, and then so on and so forth. However, what they are doing is they're talking and working together to see, hey, coach, I feel like this. I want to get to this place. What are you thinking might be the best way to accomplish that? And so it was exciting for me to start Beyond Clinic Walls Wellness. And while I would love to do individual coaching, the circumstances of me being a full-time physician as well doesn't afford me the opportunity to do that because of sheer lack of time. However, I am excited to have built a health education course called the Health Makeover. I have hosted a couple of in-person workshops and the Health Makeover online, which is an online, on-demand health education course, is inspired by an in-person session that I did, and I created it so that that means that this course can go out into the world and reach people no matter where they live, and help them be their best self. I also have a passion to combine wellness and healthy living with socializing. And I create custom wellness-based social events that gives people an opportunity to not only be healthy, but do so in an environment where they feel supported and comfortable. So the first thing I did related to that was called Eat, Learn, Turn Up. And certain, not turn up like the vegetable, but turn up like the slang terminology for having fun or getting excited. And this is what I called a wellness-based cocktail event, which was a dope concept. I love it. It was a lot of fun, and all those who participated seemed to have enjoyed themselves. But what I did for that particular event is actually curated different food items in addition to accompanied cocktails that were more health forward. Truth be told, alcohol is not at all a part of a balanced diet. None of us need alcohol, but many of us do enjoy having an alcoholic beverage from time to time, and having options and ways to do that in a way that won't make you feel like you're derailing all of the progress that you've made in healthy living is important. And so it was a great opportunity to do that. And then I also have an option, which I hope becomes a staple in the business, is actually inspired by the title for this podcast, and that's called Nibble and Learn. And Nibble and Learn is an interactive luncheon, which, similar to the Eat, Learn, Turn Up event, takes different food dishes and offers educational insight on how we can make changes to manage our health. And I help the participants break down that particular meal item and understand what makes it a good option, and how they can take the foods that they regularly eat and make them even better and health forward in their life. And so the long and short of Beyond Clinic Walls Wellness is that it's a passion of mine to show people that being healthy doesn't have to be fussy, but it does have to be practical and sustainable. And there, in no world do I feel that you have to sacrifice fun and easy living to be healthy. And through the programming that I create, whether it's in person or virtual, my podcast, as well as social media content, is all geared towards that. And I pray that the passion that I have is seen by everyone who consumes the content. And so the next session, I'll actually talk a little bit more about my website and why I decided to start Munch and Learn with Dr. Constance. But for now, have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time.